What's up everybody, thanks again for being here. This video is going to be exclusively for people who actually own the Godox TP4R, and today I'm actually going to be reviewing the TP S4A, which is an awesome softbox for this light. I actually have reviewed the actual tube lights. If you want to see the actual video, the link is going to be right here. And for maximum brightness, this softbox requires 2 tube lights, and they actually sent me previously one of each, the TP4R and the TP2R. So the other one is only 2 feet long, even though it's going to be shining through the softbox, which usually decreases the brightness. I was actually surprised how much light output I still get out of this with 1.5 tube lights. So if we have the 2 tube lights, this is going to be even better. And a quick disclaimer, Godox sent me the softbox for me to review. I don't get paid to say anything here, and this video is not sponsored by Godox. Still not sponsored by Godox. I just love the brand, and I actually asked a couple shirts and a couple hats, and I don't get paid to say anything here. And I actually see that there's currently nothing on YouTube regarding these particular softboxes, and I actually requested this time for them to send one to me here. For those of you who are not familiar with the KNOWLED series of Godox, they are the high-end line of products that Godox makes for lighting. There are many components inside this bag, and the manual that comes with this unit is a little bit difficult to understand. It's in English, but still. And this video, I believe, is going to be very useful because I'm going to show you guys step by step how to set up this whole thing, how to actually hook up the lights inside, and also, of course, how this whole thing is going to perform in front of a subject. So the first thing you're going to need is a very nice, reliable stand. I actually like this because it has wheels. This is a combo stand. And you can also utilize a C-stand, which is going to be the primary way I'm going to be using this. But you can also have a regular stand like this. This is a stand from B&H, the Impact stand. This thing is super light, and it's only like $58, $56, somewhere around there. So you can actually use the stands as well. And the fact that the stands open so wide is actually very stable. The thing that you don't want to do with this KNOWLED softbox is to have this stand this way or that way. Never. Always this way here. Now this softbox is very long, so I'm going to be utilizing this stand here for the video because it fits the frame better. Otherwise, I'm going to need a little stool to access the top of the softbox. So here is the first component that you have to start with, which goes right here. Then you tighten it down. And this is the second piece. As you can see, the orientation should be this way here. The larger hole on top and the smaller one on the bottom. So you're going to slide it this way. And then there's a screw in the back. Make sure you tighten that. Then next you're going to remove these protective clamps here. So here's the next component. Make sure this is actually facing up. This is to access the rear display of your tube lights. And there are 2 holes right here, as you can see. So the first one goes right there. And the second one goes right here. Then next we're going to be closing these flappers right here. It's very quick. And next, of course, we're going to be preparing to receive the light, so open the latches. So next what you're going to do is to make sure the display is actually facing up and also facing that way. And you also want to measure here, and then you measure first to see if it fits, and then that's when you latch it. So currently I only have 1.5 lights, if you will. So this is the TP2R and this is the TP4R. So you can still use this. In my case, that's all I have. But if you have 2 tube lights, which is the correct way to actually utilize this modifier, the brightness is pretty satisfactory. So if that's your case too, if you have one of each like this here, so you can still use it. So what I'm going to do is the same exact way. Make sure this is actually facing up and the display that way. And you want to be as high as possible, just enough space so you can actually latch your tube right here. Make sure the display is facing this way, and then you latch it down. So the next step will be installing the pins right here, but I think the way it is, I don't think these tube lights are going anywhere because they're not very easy to unlatch anyway accidentally. So if you want to, you can go ahead and slide them right here on this particular hole there. And there you go. But sometimes I find it a little bit difficult to insert the pins here because, as you can see, the hole is not really aligning, even though this is actually properly latched. So sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain here. So this one, you gotta be playing with it a little bit. So I don't particularly like the pins. So as you can see, you can easily access the displays from the tube lights. And in my case, I'm gonna have to be a little creative by accessing the power button, which I know is the last button there, so you actually have to feel with your finger there, and the light will turn on regardless. Not only can this be mounted on a C-stand, a regular stand, or any stand that you have, did you know you can also utilize this modifier handheld? So just in case you want an actual take following the subject right here, you can totally hand hold this thing here. So all you have to do is to Velcro this here, and the other one can go right here. This entire line here is a Velcro. You decide what spot is best for you. Once everything is assembled and inflated, you can actually hand hold anytime you want. Now here's the fun part of the whole thing. This is actually inflatable. And here's the included air pump, and the wire is a little bit too short to my taste, so you're gonna be needing an extension cord, and it comes with 3 different sizes. This particular softbox requires the largest one here, and you simply insert it right there, and you're ready to go. Plug it in the outlet, and that's it. So here's the front of the actual inflatable modifier. You just unlock this, and the best way to grab this, hold it from the back here. This is actually a vacuum, so you just switch the hole right there. Now you are on vacuum mode. Now to inflate, switch to the other thing here. Now you are inflating mode. So before you actually put the pump in here, make sure your finger is already on a power switch, and then you kind of twist it a little bit to fit this as snugly as possible, and then you turn it on. Then you can actually let it rest on the floor. The next thing you gotta do, make sure you already have this in your hands, because if you delay too much, you're gonna be losing some air. Check it out. You don't wanna do that. So turn it back on. Boom. There you go. Practice it twice, you'll be good at it. So as you can see, the Velcro goes all the way from the top to the bottom, skip about 1.5 inches or so. So this can actually fit with this here. So ideally, you're supposed to start mounting the Velcro right here, skip this 1 inch here, then you align everything. So it should look like this here. Then you cover here, go to the other side, and do the same exact thing. Skip about 1 inch here. And the air itself is going to help you to shape this a lot easier, as you can see. And then the bottom goes right here. Just in case you're picky like me, just in case the Velcro is a little bit crooked here, no problem. The inflation itself helps you align everything so everything looks pretty like this here. If this is crooked, no problem, on Velcro here and fix everything like this here. Hug the thing, so looking pretty. Now here's the actual grid folded. Before I unfold this, I want to show you something. It works just like this here. The material they put it inside is identical to this here. So you don't have to be afraid of actually breaking this grid when you actually fold it. So the whole thing just unfolds like this. You're going to hear the same click. You un-Velcro it. And this is the grid, which is a non-removable material here. So this whole thing is part of the whole unit. And on the back of the grid, there's some silver material to help project the light further. And installing the grid is very easy. And that's the actual final product. Once everything is set up, to access the light tubes is very easy, as you can see. You can also even run a DC power supply right there, power the light on. Now, even if you have 1.5 tube lights here, all you have to do is to feel here. So I know the power button is the last button right there, so you simply press and hold, and there it is. So for studio applications, which takes a long time, interviews or whatnot, make sure you actually connect your DC power supply. Make sure you turn everything on here while the unit is still on the ground before you actually put this on a boom or a tall stand. And then everything else can be controlled via the app, of course, in groups or individually. So actually set the lights to HSI so you can actually see the different tubes going on here. So light number 1 and then light number 2. So the first thing that I like to do is to make sure this is actually placed on a higher setting. Tighten it down. Then if you want to tilt this 45 degrees, it's very easy. All you have to do is to grab it from here. This is actually very light, so I think this is enough tilt for most applications, and then you lock it down. Before you let this go, place the sandbag here on the tallest leg of the C-stand, and then you can actually rotate to any position you want. And also showing you guys here how far this is actually extended. There's no banding right here, and of course you don't want to do that, but I'm going to show you guys how safe that is. I'm actually pushing on the stand and nothing happens, and of course you can actually rise this as high as you like. And you can also place it this way, lock it down, then you come here, hold it from here, and if you want to rotate it this way, you can. Lock it down. You can also tilt it this way, that way, so the possibilities are endless. For lighting control, this grid does an amazing job, but if you don't want to use the grid and control the light in other ways, they also include this one here, which you can actually put this whole thing on the boom, and the whole light is going to act like a tunnel, like shooting down. So there are three ways to use this: with the diffuser itself, the grid, or with this. And to install this modifier, of course, you have to remove the grid, and it is the same exact way. You Velcro everything here, and this whole thing should fall this way. So to install this modifier, the best idea is to have the softbox oriented this way, safely on a C-stand, so let gravity do its job. You want to remove the grid first, of course. Now to install this modifier neatly and properly, as you can see, the Velcro is right here, so use this as a guide. So the Godox logo is faced exactly in the middle like this here. And as you can see, this takes seconds, even though this is a big thing to install here. And that's all it takes. And there's a little flapper right there, as you can see. So just finish it here, and the whole thing is installed except the Velcro here. So make sure you Velcro this down. You can actually put your hands inside here. So here's what it looks like in the front. Again, the little flapper here, don't forget that. You can also open this if you need. And as you can see, you can actually freely move this around. This is a C-stand problem, but you always have to kind of fix it a little bit here. All right, now everything is dark. Getting my Godox light app, and I'm right under the thing here. As you can see, there's plenty of lighting. I'm actually shooting with the 24-105 Canon, which is a f4 lens, and this 1.5 tube lights, they're set to 100%. You can actually turn on one individually, of course, or the other one, or both. And if you have the two proper 4-foot-long TP4R tube lights here, you're going to have slightly more brightness, even more than this here, right? So exposing myself properly here, so this is how much control you have with this particular modifier. So I'm right at the edge right here, in complete darkness. All right, so here's the actual softbox with 1.5 lights in there. And the distance is exactly 3 feet, as you can read or not. 3 feet. So this is what you get at ISO 400. The aperture is f2.8, and the shutter is 1/60th of a second, and the frame rate is 1/30th of a second. So 60th of a second is the minimum shutter in that particular frame rate. And right now I have the grid here, and this is what it will do. It's right on my face, and this is how much lighting control you have with this fixture. So again, the same scenario, I have ISO 400, f2.8, 1/60th of a second on the shutter, and the frame rate is 30 frames per second, and 3 feet away, I can actually touch the softbox, and the light is out of the shot, and this is what you get here. So I'm reminding you guys that I don't have the two TP4Rs here, I only have one TP2R and one TP4R. So I would assume that you can actually gain another third of an f-stop. For example, you can actually open the aperture down to f3.2 or f4, at this particular distance and with this ISO here. And of course, doing the simple math, right now I'm shooting with ISO 200. Now I open the whole f-stop with the aperture up to f1.8 and 1/60th of a second, 30 frames per second, nothing changed, and there you go. So I would say for a single person interview with the light about 3 feet away at this particular scenario here, I think it's plenty of lighting for an interview set. And again, guys, I don't have the two TP4Rs here. This is supposed to be at least a third of a stop brighter. Now let's say you want to shoot two people. All you have to do is to place the light on a horizontal mode, and I'm also going to be shooting at a farther distance, so let's do that right now. So right now I have the light horizontally placed, so I can actually be here or here. The lighting perspective will change a little bit because my face is now this way here, but you get the point. So showing you guys the light is actually on a horizontal mode. And here's the grid on the background. And here's without the grid. And that's the end of my video. I hope you found this content helpful. And if you want to share, like, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it, because for creators like me here, this means the world to me. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down in the comment section. I love seeing comments, and I make sure I respond to everything that I see there. So once again, thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you next time.